Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. Big shout out to my son Dawson. Today is his 21st birthday. So I'm very excited for him. My youngest is 21 years old. Can you believe that, Crash?
21, huh?
Yeah. He's all fired up and he's going to the Mavs game on Sunday, game 4. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
Yeah, no doubt. So have a great day, Dawson. And I am joined here. I'm Coach, by the way, and I'm joined by Crash. So it's the Coach and Crash NBA show, and sort of our version of the old Mike and Mike in the morning show.
Yeah.
I missed that. I loved Mike and Mike in the morning.
I know I did too. I used to listen to it all the time. At that time, I was driving a truck, so I was listening to it all the time early in the morning. So
nice.
Yeah.
But we're excited today. We've got a 2-game NBA slate, and we're down to the conference semifinals. This is the real deal now. So we're going to break down these 2 games, give you some of our plays, sort of look at the scenarios here of some different ways we can build these lineups out. We're coming off a nice profitable night last night. Would have been a takedown night if I wouldn't have switched from Reed to Jordan. But, about 42% of the public did the same thing with me. So wasn't fun. But let's just say it wasn't Michael Jordan. It was definitely DeAndre Jordan. So won't be going there next go around. But anyway, today, 2 great games, both very pivotal game 2s in these series. Milwaukee leads the Boston series 1-0, and Golden State leads the Memphis series 1-0. So we've got both road teams coming out victorious in their first games, and we'll see if they can follow it up tonight. So Crash and I are going to break it down, look at some of the numbers. We do have a couple of injuries that are questionable that are going to be key. So we'll follow those as the day goes on. And I just checked prior to jumping on here, used everywhere I could look that I normally do, the RotoWires Fantasy Lab. Shout out to all of them that are posting all the information. And it was pretty consistent throughout. So it looks as though the 2 guys that we're going to have to watch today, Crash, are Marcus Smart for Boston and Desmond Bain from Memphis.
Right.
Those will be the 2 impactful players. Personally, when I did this preparation for this podcast, I have both of them playing. I think they both play, but that they are listed questionable. So we'll follow that news. All right, let's take a look at the numbers here on a few things. The first game, Milwaukee, Boston, and there is a discrepancy here in total. So we want to weigh that toward what we're looking at here, because that makes all the difference in the world is, where you're going to stack when you have a 2-gamer. So Bucks at the Celtics, Boston is favored by 4.5. It's only a 215.5 total, 105.5 implied for Milwaukee, 110 implied for Boston. And if you look at the second game, numbers are higher on the totals all over the place, and the spread is tighter. So it's Golden State, a 2-point road favorite at Memphis, 227.5 total. So 12 full points higher than the first game, 114.75 for Golden State, which is the highest of the 4 teams, and 112.75, which is the second highest for Memphis. Now, it's not one of those 25-point, spreads on the totals, but 12 points gets your attention. That's a lot of DFS points. It's extra possessions and something we're going to have to look at. All right, Milwaukee, Boston. We've got injuries. We have Hill and Middleton remain out for Milwaukee. They didn't play in game 1 either. And then the only designation for Boston is Marcus Smart being out. So what I want to do first, Crash, is I want to take a look back at game 1, because we did see some tendencies. I know you and I broke down game 1, and we felt it was going to be they're going to dive all over Giannis and defensively, and he's going to have to give the ball up and get some assists, which we crushed because he had 12 assists and he had a lot of them early. But the problem for Boston was he got loose on some transition, which we were concerned about. And then just, Giannis being Giannis, he got up 25 shots.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday got up 20. So those are the two guys we expected were going to get the majority of the action, and they did. Bobby Portis, 6 for 12, super efficient game as he normally does with his 11 rebounds. So a nice double-double for Portis. But after that, we sort of shied away from most of the guys. And it was really, a smart move. Now, Lopez grabbing 10 rebounds was a decent thing, but only 3 for 7. Matthews, 2 for 7. Grayson Allen, 4 for 8. Connaughton, 3 for 6. Javon Carter, 2 for 4. So my question to you, you're the Milwaukee Bucks expert here. Is it still just Giannis and Holiday with a possibility of Portis, or are you looking at it any different based on that first game?
I think that it's going to be a lot like that first game from Milwaukee. There isn't a whole lot outside of Giannis, Holiday, and Portis offensively. Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton will come in and hit some timely threes. They'll definitely do that. And Grayson Allen has been a little bit more aggressive lately as far as driving to the hole. So I do think that that'll continue. But I just think that the Bucks kind of they'll just control the game similar to the way they did in game 1, just because I don't really know how Boston is going to stop Giannis. I mean, whether he's facilitating or he's scoring in the paint, it just seems like they don't have any answers for him whatsoever.
Right.
I feel like it's going to be a lot like, and I might just be being a homer, but I feel like it's going to be a lot like game 1 again. I kind of saw the same thing happen against Chicago when they have the matchup advantages. They just continue to pound the same advantages over and over and over, and Bud doesn't change stuff that works. So I don't see why it wouldn't be a lot like game 1. The only exception would be that Tatum and Jaylen Brown both kind of struggled in the first game. So that could make a difference.
Yeah, the defensive end, it's tough. I mean, I would assume they're going to change some things up because they did get smoked pretty good. I mean, the Bucks shot 41% from the field, which, you shoot over 40%, you're doing all right. You're gonna win a lot of games. 54 rebounds. I mean, they hammered the glass. And how about this stat? How about that? They had 5 blocks and they had 22 assists. Those are all stats those all make a difference. They add up. And, so they took a stand defensively. They were very difficult to stop offensively. But, the question will be, what are the adjustments that Boston makes? If you're going to get 45 shots from Giannis and Holiday, man, it's hard not to want to play those guys.
Yeah.
Because, that just opens up a lot. I do have an interesting number here, though, on a few of these guys that it's just something to notice. They didn't pull away really. They had the game in control a lot, but they didn't pull away till late. And what I thought Coach Bud did spectacularly here was he used his bench a lot.
Yeah.
You had 32 minutes from Portis, 37 from Giannis, 28 from Lopez, 28 for Matthews, and 35 for Holiday. But how about the 3 guys? 29 minutes from Allen, 21 from Connaughton, and shocking 22 from Javon Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those 3 guys, if you were to tell me they're going to continue to get over 20 minutes, and 29 for Allen. I mean, they become value plays, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Carter's just getting the minutes that George Hill would be getting, so it makes a lot of sense. And they're playing him and Holiday on the floor at the same time too. So I think that they're those guys like Connaughton and Allen and Carter, they're just continue to see minutes as long as the lineup is the way it is. So,
yeah,
I think all three of those guys are value plays.
So, I mean, there's a lot of options on Milwaukee. Certainly the temptation to spend up for Giannis is going to, I mean, he's going to be very highly owned. You
Yeah.
don't put up 24 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 blocks and not, feel like you've got to have those points, just raw points to survive here. So, I mean, are you thinking like 70% ownership for Giannis, something in that neighborhood?
I don't know if it's going to be that high. I think that Ja Morant's going to get a lot of ownership too, and those are the two of the main pay up guys on this slate. So
right,
I think it's going to be between those two. I think Giannis will have a little bit more ownership than Morant.
Yeah,
but I don't know how Boston's going to slow him down because even when they had him doubled and tripled in the paint, he still was able to kick it out. I mean, that one play, he was flying out of bounds, and he threw it to the top of the key to Portis for a 3.
Right.
I don't know how you stop that. So
no, and if they're in transition, it just, I mean, there's no way. So I'm with you. I mean, I just don't know if I can get away from Giannis. I mean, it's that simple. Of, I ended up on the podcast yesterday. I was trying to find a way to fade Luka, and I wanted to build more of a mid-level. And as the day went on, I had said on the podcast I was gonna play him in one lineup or whatever. And as the day went on, it's just like, how do I give up 60 DFS points here or 65 and then catch up? I mean, it's so difficult when you have a 2-game slate. Now, maybe on a big slate with 8 games and you have a bunch of guys go for 50, whatever but you're just, it almost is impossible for me as a cash player, looking at 50-50s, double ups and head-to-heads to not play Giannis. He'll probably be in 100% of my lineups. I just don't see any way around it.
Yeah. And he has had some, games where he did less or whatever against Boston, but that was when Middleton was playing. And when Middleton's not out there, it's just the usage is too great. The usage is too great for him and Drew Holiday both. So.
And that's what we said. I mean, that was the key, that, losing Middleton, all it did was make, not his fill-ins and guys off the bench. It really, that big time usage went to Giannis and Holiday like we expected. And I think it'll stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And the difference is with this series versus the Chicago series is these games are closer. So Giannis gets more minutes, he gets more opportunities. They didn't need him as much in that Chicago series. And Middleton went down like they do in this series. So, I just think Giannis is just going to continue to be a must play. So
I agree. And now let's switch over to Boston. I had mentioned Milwaukee was 37 for 90 for a sharp 41%, whereas Boston, did not make their shots like they needed to. 28 for 84 for only 33%. So you get in the low 30s, that's when you start getting in trouble. And there were a lot of guys that just did not get it done. Tatum 6 for 18, 33%. Marcus Smart 3 for 11, 27%. Jaylen Brown 4 for 13, 30%. So, those numbers have to improve for them to win. It's flat out. So some of that's the Milwaukee defense. Some of it, just Boston was not hitting their shots. So I think this is going to be a very competitive game. And there's no doubt Boston's going to come out here with that mentality of there's no way on earth we can go down 2-0 and go on the road. So I'm expecting Boston to turn it up. I like some Boston players more here than I did the other day. But let's take a quick review here because it's not as difficult with Boston. You've got Tatum, who played almost 40 minutes. Horford, who had a fine game, played 37 minutes. You've got Jaylen Brown, 38 minutes. Marcus Smart, 33. Now, where you can get a little, interest here is Robert Williams, as we expected. We had him at 22 to 25 minutes. He played 22 and a half. Is that enough is the question. The other guy, Grant Williams, who I had in some lineups, played almost 29 minutes, Crash.
Wow.
So, yeah,
He didn't do much either, because I barely even remember him being out there. I mean, obviously he may have been doing something defensively, but offensively he didn't do anything, because I don't remember him being on the floor hardly at all.
He and Peyton Pritchard, when they were in there with the second unit, that's really where they lost control of the game.
Yeah,
because Grant was minus 15, Peyton Pritchard minus 17. Those were the two worst on the team. Yeah. So, you know, do they get minutes again? We'll see. Now, Derek White 16 minutes and Peyton Pritchard 11, and then Tice 4. I mean, it really, I don't see how you play those guys. To me, it's you got Tatum, Horford, Brown, and Smart. That's your meat and potatoes. I think you gotta have two of those guys in your lineup. And then if you can go a little cheaper for Robert Williams, if you 22 minutes, that's right on the border of not quite making it for me. If he gets over 25, you know, with a great DFS points per minute guy, I'm good with that. But, you know, only 6 shots. You know, I'd like to see a little bit more, but he's always going to grab you some rebounds and get some stocks. You just know that's going to be there. So, you know, 3 blocks in only 22 minutes is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. He's below 5K on DraftKings, so I do think that's a good value there for him.
I do too. And they need him, and they need this win. And I think, you know, I'm going to project Robert Williams at 26 minutes, which makes him a lot better for me. And I'm going to take Grant Williams from 29 minutes down to like 24, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that flips the switch for me for Williams, but it's something, you know, those two may split minutes. It may be that simple. So we have to watch that closely. You know, really, as far as getting shots up, it was shared more than I thought it would be. Tatum 18, but only 13 for Brown, and he's a volume shooter. Smart and Horford got 11. Now, I don't know. Horford has a lot of games where he doesn't get double-digit shots up. So I know, you know, Milwaukee tried to help a lot more on Tatum and Brown, which is going to leave Horford and Smart open for some shots. Smart couldn't hit his 1 for 6.
Right.
But you're talking about Al Horford got up 9 threes, Crash. 9.
Yeah, that was probably part of Milwaukee's game plan, was to let him shoot, because he's a decent 3-point shooter, but that's definitely not his, you know, preferred shot.
So, well, that's my question to you, Mr. Bucks here. I need this answer because this is going to depend on my build. Do they stay with the same strategy since it worked and try to keep Tatum and Brown's shooting percentage down, allowing Horford and Smart to shoot some open shots?
Yeah.
Because that's hard not to take those guys, because I think Horford can go 4 for 9 again. Smart will probably make 3 or 4 of them this go around.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, if they can limit Tatum and Brown, I mean, I think that has to be their key strategy. Those are the 2 main guys that you worry about with Boston. And Brown, I mean, he's getting locked up by Holiday, basically. So I think it's going to be a tough series for him. I thought initially, the way that things went during the regular season, that Brown was going to have a better series. But I don't know if they're going to keep, you know, Holiday locked in on him. That's going to be tough for him. So, you know,
Jaylen Brown had 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
And he's not even a major ball handler.
Right. Yeah.
That tells you how good Drew Holiday is.
Exactly. He was having some major problems. So, yeah, I do. I think that they're going to focus on Tatum and Brown, which is going to make guys like Al Horford and Marcus Smart and Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, when he's out there, those are the guys that are going to have to beat them.
Yeah.
So,
well, for me, my focus is, I agree with you. My focus is Tatum, Horford, Robert Williams, and Marcus Smart. I think those are the directions I'm looking, and then just seeing what can be afforded.
Yeah. Yeah, Tatum can get his. I mean, he got 18 shots up in game 1. He just didn't make them. So he can definitely pay off his price. He's below 10K on both sites. So
he should never have a game
for me from Boston.
He should never have a game where he takes less than 20 shots. He's just too good to not get 20 shots up. I mean, reasonably, I'd I'd like him to have 25 shots like Giannis did, and Brown to get 20 shots up like Holiday did. And they didn't. They got 18 and 13. And, you know, you got to find a way if you're Boston to get those guys the ball.
Yeah, Tatum's going to have to make some threes, because if he goes down in the paint with Lopez and Giannis and Portis, that's just playing right into Milwaukee's hands. So it's going to be down to his outside shooting, how he does in this series.
And Horford and Smart are going to have to hit some as well. So
yeah,
I really like that. You know, I know that, you know, we talked about how much less of a spread here in this game as far as the total goes, but I still think you have to have some exposure. It's not like totally stack Golden State, Milwaukee, and just have one guy from each squad here. I think you have to have a little bit more balanced lineup if you want to take something down.
Yeah, I agree. And if Marcus Smart's out, then obviously Derek White becomes a key play. So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and Marcus Smart's so tough, though, man. I can't imagine he's going to sit this game.
He did get in. He got like 2 or 3 different injuries on Sunday, though. He just kept re-aggravating injury after injury. So
he did. So we'll see if he can roll out there, and if he does, do you avoid him just because he's not playing at 100%? You know.
Yeah.
So we'll get all the coach speak and all the news, you know, beat writer news. We'll be posting that on Twitter. And if you want to catch that, we're at DFS Coach Talk. I'm at Joe Sarvati, and Mr. Crash is at JP Davis 1982. So you can catch us there. Couple other things. This podcast, by the way, is presented by Prize Picks. We're going to share some Prize Picks at the end of the podcast, our top selections today. If you go to prizepicks.com, sign up with the promo code Coach Talk, they'll match you dollar for dollar on that first $100. All right, let's go to game 2. It is the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies, and same scenario here. Memphis is going to come out with their hair on fire. They have to win. You can't go down 2-0. They're underdogs. So this is going to be very interesting. Again, they're Golden State by 227.5 total, 114.75 implied for Golden State, 112.75 for the Grizz. Klay Thompson probable. He's a go. No worries there. Iguodala still remains out. You know, the big, really, really important piece of news is Desmond Bain, who's questionable. I think he goes, and he's a key player to their team. Zaire Williams, who gets a few minutes off the bench, is questionable again. Adams, Aldama, and Tilly remain out. So we're going to go back, look at game 1 in this series as well. Golden State, you know, it was a fantastic game. 117-116. Klay hit that big 3 really to win the game. Ja had a chance at the end, didn't get it done. But it was really a fun game to watch. I expect a lot of similarities to this game. You know, the thing is, though, we did talk about stacking this game last go around. Felt that this would be more of an open game, and it was. Ton of points here. The question is, does it stay as open? I think Memphis plays a fast pace. They have all year. That sort of played in Golden State's hands. And the reason I say that is when you're setting up a defense, you're planning it out as a coach and you're practicing it out. This is how we're going to defend. It's generally in a half-court set, who's going to play who, what switches, how you're going to take away some of the threes. Where you can't control that is in transition.
Right.
If the ball's being pushed, somebody's filling a lane, somebody's the trailer, you're always going to get an open look for 3. And it's when you have Curry, Poole, and Thompson spotting up on transition, it's going to kill you. So I think what Memphis will do is slow down the pace just a little bit. So I think this game will go a little lower scoring. So if you're playing it, I like the under personally, but I think it slows down a little bit because they're able to control the defense a little bit better in a half-court set. Now, I'm not saying, you know, Memphis is going to get away from still trying to run the floor, because with Ja, you've got to. Yeah. But I just think that they'll be a little more cautious here, because what happened is with that pace, Golden State got up 93 shots, Crash.
Wow.
And do you know that they hit 45 of them?
Wow.
You know, you give up 48.4% on 93 shots, and Memphis was a top 5 defensive team all year. That is a disaster. So a couple of things I'm going to predict here. Number one, I think Memphis wins this game. So there you go. They're an underdog. I like Memphis. I think they hold Golden State down a fewer shots, slow the pace down a little bit, because they are not going to win playing that style basketball, because this is their nightmare. 20 shots for Poole, 20 for Curry, 19 for Thompson, 14 for Wiggins. So there you go. You got their key players with 75 shots they're getting up there, and they're shooting almost 50%.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get swept if you play that kind of defense.
Right.
And so they're, you know, I really respect Jenkins as a coach for Memphis. I think you're going to see a reset of strategy here for Memphis in this game. So even though I'm telling you these numbers, you know, 6 for 19 for Thompson, which isn't quite going to get it done.
Right.
Wiggins 6 for 14, solid as hell. Curry 8 for 20, but 5 threes, that gets it done. Poole 12 for 20, 5 threes, that gets it done. Those are the guys that they're going to focus on. I think you've got to find a way to get out there, guard that 3-point line. And, you know, 38 threes, come on, man. You can't give up 38 threes to the Splash Brothers here. Just not going to fly. So I think there's going to be some regression for Golden State. I'm not saying they're a total fade for me, but, you know, you got 30 minutes from Clay, 34 from Wiggins, 37 from Curry, and 38 from Poole. Those are the guys that are going to get the majority of the minutes. Only 17 from Draymond because he was ejected. And, you know, so that'll change things. That'll help them defensively. And, you know, some of the usage, a little bit of the usage, not a ton. But, you know, the big news was they went with a small lineup. They put Gary Payton in there, and I think you were on Payton, so great call there, and removed Looney from that starting lineup. So my question to you, as you're listening to my long-winded explanation here with Golden State, do you feel, as I do, that they'll regress a little bit? And are you going to, you know, one-off here, or are you still going to stack Golden State?
Probably not going to stack Golden State with Giannis and Tatum and those guys. It's going to be hard to do that. But I do like Jordan Poole, 7,200 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DK. He's priced similarly to Klay Thompson, but to me, he just gets more done overall. The peripherals are there. He had 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists for 59 DraftKings points in game 1. Yep. So I do think that they're going to focus more attention on him defensively than they did in game 1. But I still like him, you know, just because he does more, like I said, for peripherals than Klay Thompson does usually. And Steph, I mean, he did score 24 points, but he didn't really do much else. So at that price, I don't really want to go there. So the play I'm looking at, Gary Payton II, you know, really good value, 3,400 on DK, 3,800 on FanDuel, had a nice game in game 1. And then Draymond Green, I mean, you know, I think that he can put up some decent numbers, 6,600 on DK. Obviously, he left early because he got ejected on that soft flagrant foul call. But, yeah, so Draymond and Poole and Payton for value would be my main plays for Golden State.
Yeah, and I think it's smart. I mean, you know, Clay consistently just has terrible peripheral numbers. I mean, it's not just he had a bad game. 1 rebound and 3 assists.
Right.
You know, that's just awful. And it makes it hard at his price because he has to drop 30-some real points for you to get there, which he can do. I mean, he did it in 1 quarter one time. So,
right.
You know, I mean, we know he can do it. And, you know, if you see him going off, then he's a good play, but it's hard to really count on any of those other numbers to help from a DFS standpoint. Now, I wouldn't mind playing his over total points on Prizepicks, but I don't like his fantasy score on Prizepicks. So just one way to look at it. I still think Curry's the man. I think Curry's, I know he had a weak 3 rebound, 4 assist game, which, you know, isn't great. But I just like the position here. I think if they try to guard Poole a little bit more aggressively, I really think Curry's the one that is going to benefit the most of anybody. Also,
Do
I
you
thought
think he
Wiggins.
can?
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Do you think that he can meet that number though? I mean,
The problem is the price. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The
The
salary's a little tough.
9,791.
You know what, though? I like the fact at times when a guy like that looks a smidgen overpriced because it just completely crushes their ownership. And, you know, if I have Curry at 35%, I'm not as excited. But if I could squeeze under the bar with Curry at 20%, I'd feel wonderful about that because he can break the slate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my theory there.
He can, but what if he drops like 35 points and gets 2 or 3 rebounds and 3 or 4 assists? I mean, it's not going to be quite enough for value.
No, it's not. And again, you know, there's no guarantees here, but I just don't particularly feel like Poole's going to have that output again. You know, 60% shooting from the field, 50 from the line. He doesn't normally have 9 assists and 8 rebounds. I mean, I think he regresses. I think people are going to knee-jerk reaction, and Poole's going to be overowned. I'm not saying he's a bad play. I just don't want a guy that's overowned. You know, if Poole's owned more than Curry, which he probably will be because of the price, I just think that's an aberration. I mean, we're talking about the greatest shooter in the history of the game, and we're talking about a guy that's going to be playing again in his second playoff series of his life. Right. So I just see regression there. I'll go back to Curry all day long. And I'll tell you what, I was happy with my Wiggins play. I've been off him all year. He was very efficient. You know, 17 points, 8 rebounds. You know, he's going to get some stocks. Generally, he didn't get any here, but he usually does. So I think at his price, he's a super value guy. And I think Draymond comes out really pissed. And I like a guy with a chip on his shoulder.
Definitely.
And if they're going to win this game, you know, they were lucky to win that game after he got ejected. So if they're going to win this game, he's going to have a very efficient offensive game and all the other peripherals. I mean, look what he had, Crash. In 17 minutes, he was 2 for 3 from the field, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block.
In 17 minutes.
In 17 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, granted, that pace probably isn't sustainable, but even if he is 30% of that pace the rest of the game, he smashes his number. So, I'm old school in this game again. I mean, I'm probably Curry and Green all the way to the bank with a little value on Wiggins. And, you know, I'm going to let everybody else just continue to dive on Poole. It crushed me last time when I faded him, but I'm looking at regression and I'm looking at over ownership.
Yeah. Draymond averaged just under 40 fantasy points a game against Memphis this year. So, I mean, he definitely had the production. At 6,600 on DK, I mean, that's really good value. So,
and I have no interest in the Porters, Loonies, Lees, Kumingas.
Right?
No, not playable.
No, I mean they got like Porter. He got extra minutes with Draymond out and stuff like that. But yeah, in normal situations, no, I don't.
No. All right, Memphis Grizzlies. How do they figure a way to get back into this series? Well, like I said, Brooks, you know, I played him and he had one of his off shooting nights and he keeps shooting. 3 for 13 was painful to watch. I think that can improve a little bit. The guy, though, that I want to ask you about right off the jump street here is Jaron Jackson Jr. Man, you know, he has games like that where he looks like such a stinking stud.
Yeah.
And it all has to do with him staying out of foul trouble.
Right.
So are you going to go back to him here, or are you afraid?
I'm not. I think that he's a little bit of a trap. I think that he got a lot of that production because Draymond wasn't on the floor, and I think that he's going to do what he normally does and have a huge game and let somebody, 30% of the field down the next game. So
I'm with you 100%, man. You read my mind. I mean, I think the kid has all the talent in the world. the propensity for foul trouble and some regression here. 10 for 18, 6 for 9 from 3, and some of those threes were tough.
Yeah.
So, hats off to him for that game. It was awesome, but I don't see that repeating, and I think he's another guy that people are going to overreact, and you're going to see him at his price in a ton of lineups.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I'm just thinking, Coach, because I know you said you like Memphis. So if Draymond's going to be on the floor more and Jaron Jackson's going to do less, and Ja Morant had almost basically a ceiling game in game 1, where is the difference going to be in your mind?
I think it's Dillon Brooks.
Okay.
I think that it's Desmond Bain, because I don't think he sits. I think he plays. He had his worst game of the year. 3 for 10, 1 rebound, 1 assist. He got hurt during the game. He just was awful. They're not going to win. If you've watched Memphis basketball, Ja gets all of the attention, and he deserves it. He's spectacular. But they do not get even close to a 2 seed without Desmond Bain this year. Yeah, he was the glue on that team. He broke the record, as I mentioned on another podcast, for the all-time amount of threes made in a season for the Memphis Grizzlies in their history. He's a great defender. He's a clutch scorer. And I think, I'm going to be following this closely because he's my favorite play on the whole board if he's healthy enough to play. If I see no limits on minutes, he's good to go. Desmond Bain will bounce back. I mean, he did get 32 and a half minutes. And again, it was his worst game of the year. I think, the Warriors are a terrific D. They were the number 1 D in the league for the season. They edged Boston back out. So they'll play him tough. But Bain plays like a guy, with a chip on his shoulder as well. So to answer your question, I think Bain is the guy that really steps up. I think Brooks will rebound. And I don't think Ja particularly had a ceiling game. I know it was a great game. 10 assists, 9 rebounds. I agree. 31 shots is a lot of shots. 14 for 31 for 45%. I mean, again, fantastic numbers. But, he scored over 34 points on different occasions this year. Right. And he is the man. And, he's the toughest defensive check for Golden State. So, push comes to shove. I think it's Morant, Brooks, Bain leading the way. And, if they can get anything out of Jackson, Tillman, Anderson, and Melton, who played shocking. We said he was dead. He was a ghost. The dude shows up and plays 25 minutes, 14 points, 7 rebounds, an assist, 3 steals, and a block.
Yep, 33 DraftKings points.
How did that happen?
Whatever he was.
Right.
He just gave him the minutes. I mean,
so does he play again after that great performance?
Well, if Bain's out, he's a lock.
I don't think Bain's out. But if Bain plays, I mean, is Melton in consideration for you?
Yeah, I think so. Just because, for one thing, there's just not a ton of value that there's on this slate, So he's an obvious value play at 3,900 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's 46, so he's right there in that Pat Connaughton and Derek White and Grayson Allen, their price range. So, and then you have Gary Payton. So it's, one of those guys. I would probably lean with Melton. I think he's a good play. I do.
You know what shocked me is, for the last third of the season, especially the last 10 games in that first round of the playoffs as well, Melton was really phased out. And it was Tyus Jones that got the 25, 28 minutes playing back up to Ja and then playing alongside of him a little bit. But not in this game. Tyus played 12 minutes and was basically invisible. So, that is a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, maybe they go back to Tyus in this game. That's a good point.
I'm afraid of that. I mean, I love Melton. He always produces when he gets minutes. He really does. He's a nice DFS player. But I am so terrified of the Melton Jones, one of them not getting enough minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm going to go there. It is very tempting, but I bet you Melton gets a lot of ownership because everybody saw game 1.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if Tyus gets 24 and Melton gets 12. I mean, that's scary to me. The
Right.
guy that I want to stick with, though, and you wanted one more guy to get it done if they're going to win this game, and that's Brandon Clark.
Yeah.
He played 30.5 minutes, which he's been playing. I mean, even though they've been starting Tillman, he's not getting many minutes. Clark's the guy. You know, he only took 6 shots. I think that goes up. He was 4 for 6, but 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. He's playing at a high level. I really think even expecting Jackson to regress a little bit, I think Clark picks up some of those additional stats. So for me, Crash, it's cautious with Brooks, Bain, Morant, and Clark being the key guys.
Yeah, I actually like Clark more than Portis, and they're priced about the same. So
wow, you're going to get your Milwaukee Bucks fans smashing you on Twitter.
Yeah, better check outside my door and see if they're lining up.
Exactly. Mrs. Portis is out there. If she has those googly killer eyes, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and they're from Arkansas too. So
are they? Oh yeah, he played at Arkansas. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow, what a turncoat you are, Brandon Clark over Bobby Portis.
Yeah, just because I don't think that Portis is going to consistently shoot as well as he did in game 1. You know, he was really on in game 1, and he'll have games where he's not as good, and you know that could be a way that Boston gets back in the series too. So
makes perfect sense, man. So I think that is, you know, the breakdown as best we can give you. It's sort of a review of game 1. We got the numbers. You know, we have several different opportunities here to go. A lot of different directions, a couple of fairly decent value plays, but you know, I guess it's going to come down to you got the 3 highest price guys on the slate, and that's where the decision is going to come in. There's no way you can play them all, but Giannis at 11.4, which is a big commitment, but I just don't see how you don't play him. And then, you know, Tatum's 9.8, Curry's 9.1, Jaws 10.1. So yikes. What are you looking at with those 4 big dogs?
I think we talked about a little bit in the opener, but in the opening, I would say Giannis 1. It's tough for me between Morant and Tatum. That would be my number 2 guys, I think.
Right.
I don't think I'm as high on Steph as you are. And then who was the other one you said?
Tatum, Curry, Morant, and Giannis.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say, I guess Giannis 1, Tatum 2, Morant 3, and Curry 4 for me.
And for me, it's probably Giannis 1, Curry 2, Brown 3, Morant 4. I do think Morant will have.
You said Brown, you meant Tatum, right?
Oh, I meant Tatum.
Yeah.
Brown is like number 9 for me.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. But yeah, Morant, I think he gets more helps from his buddies in this game, you know, with Bain, Brooks, and Clark and some of his other fellas. So, but again, you can't go wrong with any of them, but you can't play them all because we don't have any of those super duper cheap guys. I mean, let's face it, if you're going to play a couple of those guys, you're going to have to dig in for a Grayson Allen, a Grant Williams, you know, possibly DeAnthony Melton. You know, you're going to have to find value somewhere.
Yeah, Gary Payton Jr. would be another one.
Yeah. All right, my friend. I think that should wrap it up for us. Nice breakdown there. I think good luck to your Bucks. I know, you know, that's a huge game for them. I personally think both home teams rebound and win tonight. So
yeah,
but we'll see. There'll be 2 good games. I think both competitive and certainly competitive from the DFS side of things. All right, prize picks. We almost forgot. What do you got on prize picks, my friend?
I'm going to take the over on Drew Holiday, 4.5 rebounds. He had 9 rebounds in game 1, but I do think he can get over that number. You know, probably 6 to 7 is what I'm projecting for him. He got over that number in all but one of his last 5 games. So I do like him to get over that number. With Middleton out, he tends to get more rebounds. So I like Holiday over 4.5 rebounds. And do you want to go ahead with your play, or do you want me to give my other one, or how do you want to do it?
Well, I've got a guy for rebounds as well. I'm going Desmond Bain over 4 rebounds.
Okay.
Generally is in the, hits the glass and gets it done. Again, that will change if I get info that he's not playing because he's questionable, or he's, capped on minutes, or whatever the case may be. But full-blown Desmond Bain, I'm going to go over 4 rebounds.
Okay. I'm going to go with my second play. I'm going to go with Ja Morant over 1.5 blocks and steals. He had 3 steals in game 1, and like Holiday, he's gone over this number in 4 of his last 5 games. So I like the over at 1.5 on blocks and steals for Morant.
I like it. I'm going with the greatest shooter in the history of basketball, over 4 threes made. I think he gets 12, 14 threes up, makes 6 or 7 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all about Steph from deep getting it done today.
Yeah, he made 5 in game 1. So
yeah. And I think he gets more attempts than he did, just because the defense shifting just a little bit to Poole enough to, not to take all he needs is about 2 inches to get a 3-point shot up. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So hopefully he can hit him.
He's unreal. I mean, I hate to go against him. I know I said he would be number 4 in my top 4 on the slate, but he's one of my favorite players. He's probably my second favorite player behind Giannis. So
I already posted it. Hopefully he'll see it that you ranked him last. So
yeah, and he'll go off for like 50 tonight.
I'm hoping he just chucks from everywhere the logo.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Appreciate it. Great job. Definitely thank Prizepicks for being our sponsor, prizepicks.com. Use the promo code Coach Talk, get that $100 match on your first deposit. DFSCoachTalk.com. If you want to join us, you can get as little as a 3-day membership for $10. If you're watching this on YouTube, quick thumbs up on the way out. That's a really important thing to us. Hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, click that clock in the upper corner there. That alarm will let you know when any of our podcasts post. And we will certainly be back again tomorrow for all the NBA action as the playoffs just get heated up. I think the semifinal and final rounds in the conferences are some of the best basketball you'll see all season. So we're definitely fired up as our 2 teams are still in it. Deb's team is in it. So we have all our favorites still alive. Brett's team is in it. So we got all our guys Coach Talk pretty much with their favorite teams still in the running. So we got a lot of interest here, and we're going to keep breaking it down for you and try to give you some winners. Keep an eye on us on Twitter all day. We'll be posting all the coach speak and beat writer news at DFS Coach Talk. I am at Joe Sarvati, and the man, the myth, the legend here is at JP Davis 1982. Any final words, sir?
I was just wondering, is Deb going to be on the podcast with you again tomorrow for another Suns Mavs breakdown?
You know what? I will give her that offer. She was talking a little trash to me in Discord about the Suns and Ayton. So I'm a little – no, I'm just kidding. It was all in fun.
Right.
And I will check with her. So it'll probably be Deb on there with me for that one. And then you and I can jump back on because I know you don't want to miss the Bucks, for goodness sakes.
Right. Especially back in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Although I don't know if they may cancel you after this Bobby Portis trash talk.
Hey, I'm going to predict. I'll go ahead and throw this out there too. I'm predicting that Milwaukee and Golden State both win tonight.
Ooh, we are all right. So we have to have a little wager here. If your 2 teams win, I will do the podcast tomorrow with no hat on. So you have to stare at my shiny head. If my 2 teams win, you have no hat, and we get to look at your shiny head.
And if they both split?
If they split, then we save everybody from having to see any of our bald domes.
Okay.
But both teams have, because I'm predicting the 2 home teams, you're predicting the 2 road teams. So if we get a sweep, somebody's going to be shining. You better get out the shiner for the dome.
All right.
All right, man.
That's a gentleman's agreement. I'll take it.
Gentleman's agreement. It won't be tomorrow because Deb's on, but the following day we'll still have to own up to it. Yep.
Yeah, on Thursday we'll have to do that.
All right, man. All right, everybody, enjoy it. I hope you crush it. I hope this gives you a good jump start in building your lineups. And we'd love to have you join us anytime here at DFS Coach Talk. We will be back tomorrow as we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and Prize Picks.